And now let's look at what was then the cheapest Mercedes-Benz you could buy in the United States, the CLA-class. Specifically, a 2016 Mercedes-Benz CLA250 Sports Package Plus. Mercedes-Benz has long been a standard bearer for luxury all over the world, but they have an expansive lineup that extends far from the Halo S-Class and Maybach models, down to entry-level models such as this CLA that allow people to get their foot in the door with the brand. For the longest time, the C-Class was that entry-level Mercedes, but as that car grew in size and with premiumness with every passing generation, it became apparent that there was a gap in Mercedes' lineup. Before you start complaining about this not being a proper Mercedes, keep in mind that in its home country of Germany, Mercedes has long had a lineup that stretches well beyond luxury sedans. Sure, their compact and entry-level offerings might be a little more premium compared to similarly sized Fords and Chevys, but these small Mercedes have long been an important driver of the brand's lineup. While we didn't get the original A and B class in the States, we would get a model that would sit on their front-wheel drive architecture, and it would get swoopy styling that mimicked the now larger C-Class, while also leaning heavily into the four-door coupe styling that the German manufacturers love for some reason. When launched in the States in 2014, it undercut the C-Class by almost 10 grand, starting at $29,900 versus the C's $38,200. Aimed at the Audi A3 and the Acura ILX, this was Mercedes-Benz's first front-wheel drive car sold in the United States. Again, they had been making front-wheel drive cars with the A and B classes in Europe since the late 90s. The first generation CLA class, chassis code C117, shares its MFA platform with the W176A class, the W246B class, and X156 GLA class. Under the hood of the CLA250 Sport Package Plus is the 2-liter M270 Turbo 4 that produces a respectable 208 horsepower and 258 foot-pounds of torque. In front-wheel drive form, like this particular model, it gets an EPA rating of 26 city, 38 highway, and those numbers drop to 24 city, 33 highway in the all-wheel drive 4MATIC models. If that's not spicy enough for you, you can get an AMG model known as the CLA45 AMG 4MATIC that features the 2-liter M133 twin-scroll Turbo 4 that produces a remarkable 375 horsepower to all four wheels. Quick little rant here, if you watched my C300 video from a couple years back, I may have had the same rant, but whatever, I feel the need to complain again. For the longest time, the number in Mercedes' model designations represented the displacement of the engine. So let's say you have the ML320, the SUV that had the 3.2-liter V6. Well, over the years, as engine displacements got smaller, Mercedes, and trust me, they're not the only ones who have done this, stopped doing this and instead had the number just be an arbitrary number that's close to the old displacement number but not actually be it, instead representing something of a trim level or whatever. Just being a little micro brand in itself. Because, marketing, the new thing must be bigger and better, and the number must certainly go up. The number can't ever go down. It just further complicates things for me, especially as Mercedes' lineup has grown exponentially in the last couple of decades. Whatever, you couldn't just call this the CLA200, could you? Inside it's nice. There's Alcantara aplenty, and the seats have more adjustment than I know what to do with. As expected, the steering wheel telescopes, and despite this being the entry-level Benz, everything has a heft and solidness to us. Yeah, there are some cost-cutting measures. The most notable are the painted window switches that look like they came out of a Chevrolet. But aside from that, it feels nice in here, like what you would expect out of a Mercedes. At least in the front seats, the ergonomics feel amazing. Mercedes-Benz optimized front interior space with its front-wheel drive architecture, and this allows for the dash to sit back and not crowd you in like with most modern compact cars. It actually feels spacious and airy, which was something I was not expecting to say when I first walked up to this car. As for the rear seats, yeah. Like I mentioned before, German brands love their swoopy four-door coupes for some reason, which aren't exactly coupes because coupes have two doors, but the Germans just ignore this and try to sell us this anyways. Legroom is alright for a long-legged individual like myself, but the headroom is non-existent. It was not good. If you could fit back here, you get a 12-volt battery supply, a solid fold-down armrest, and nifty little cup holders that appeared from the said armrest. This particular CLA250 has the Sport Package Plus, which adds to the sporty exterior bits that the normal Sport Package has. While the Sport Package just amounts to just an appearance package, you actually do get some performance bits with the Sport Package Plus. You get an AMG-specific front differential and suspension, sport mode, linear sport steering, burble tune exhausts, red seatbelts, black roof, and AMG 774 wheels. No, it's not an actual AMG model, but it does have some fun bits that tip your toes into the AMG world. The actual CLA45 AMG was notable as it was AMG's first 4-cylinder engine, which is neat. The Sport Package even comes with the Diamond Grille, which honestly looks massively upmarket compared to the standard one. On the road, it's pleasant, like you would expect. The Turbo 4 does have a nice burble at idle, and it swiftly propels the 3,153-pound sedan to cruising speeds. This isn't the AMG, so don't expect balls on the dashboard levels of performance, but it's still plenty quick to get you into trouble when you're not paying attention. For a front-wheel drive mark, it handles surprisingly well. I really had to push it into a corner to get some sort of understeer, which is really good for a front-wheel drive car. It may be a front-wheel drive Mercedes, but the company did at least put some effort into tuning the suspension and steering to try to mask those underpinnings. Again, front-wheel drive cars can be good, and this is a good one. Steering has a solid heft to it and is dead accurate. Suspension is firm, but it soaks up the bumps with ease. Overall, the word of the day is pleasant, which is all I could really ask for out of the entry-level Mercedes. This particular 2016 CLA250 Sport Package Plus was purchased last year after the owner Jordan's previous car, the Chevrolet HHR from Wookie Drives 47, finally gave up the ghost after nearly 300,000 miles of trusty service. This was going to be his first nice car purchase, and he finally settled on this Mercedes after a couple months of searching during the height of the 2022 used car craziness. The CLA had around 55,000 miles when he purchased it, and the $22,500 price tag ended up being a pretty good deal for the Sport Package Plus model, especially at the time. He then used the car to move him from California back to North Carolina, which, while scuffed the bottom of the bumper and the valence on some of the rougher roads and entrances, it turned into a life experience that he wouldn't trade for the world. He made friends and acquaintances on that journey that he still talks to this day. For the most part, he loves this Mercedes. It does have a couple of quirks that he doesn't quite enjoy, such as the keyless entry being wonky at times, and the blind spot monitoring sticking on it at times. While it amounted to just the lights in the mirror staying on a couple of times for me during the drive, he told me that some days it'll stay on enough that a fault message appears on the dash before going away. But for the most part, he's quite proud of his Merc. Jordan is the type of buyer that Mercedes was aiming for when they debuted the CLA-class in 2014. This is and was the budget-minded Benz that you can easily dip your toes into. And the budget Mercedes experience might be enough for you to come back for one of the larger and more expensive ones later on. The second-gen CLA did grow a bit, but Mercedes did counter this by finally offering the A-Class in the United States for the first time in mid-2018. Its packaging may be hampered by its four-door coupe styling, but it's truly a pleasant experience. It's fun to drive hard, and it soaks up the highway miles with ease. It may be the cheap Mercedes, but it still offers the pleasant Mercedes experience at an entry level. 2016 Mercedes-Benz CLA250 Sports Package Plus. A perfect first Mercedes for those looking to dip their toes into the brand. Have a good day, everyone. Thank you once again for watching another episode of Wookie Drives. This week's episode comes courtesy of Jordan of Huntersville, North Carolina. Huge shout out to Jordan for letting me drive his proudly owned Mercedes in this video. If you have a car or truck you'd like to see on the show and happen to be in the Charlotte, Mooresville, North Carolina area, submit your car by emailing me at wookiedrives@gmail.com. That's right, submit your car to wookiedrives@gmail.com. That is wookiedrives@gmail.com. Don't forget to give the video a like, share with all your Mercedes friends, comment with some feedback. Any sort of feedback or interaction with this video really helps this small channel in the algorithm. And finally, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell for more Wookie Drives like these. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good day.